Let's start with a number that is honestly hard to wrap your head around. 2.2 billion.
Yeah.
That's how many people right now don't have access to safe drinking water.
It's a staggering figure. And the fallout from that is nearly 500,000 deaths every single year, just from diarrheal diseases. We're talking about a massive humanitarian crisis.
Which is why today we're doing a deep dive on a solution you probably recognize, maybe from the camping aisle, LifeStraw.
Mm-hmm.
But the story here is so much bigger. This isn't just about a gadget for hikers. It's a case study in how a plastic tube became this global social innovation juggernaut.
Exactly. The mission for us today is to trace how this device went from a purely humanitarian tool to a lifestyle brand and, how it's trying to tackle that 2.2 billion person problem without going bankrupt.
And to get that, we have to go way back, past the hiking trails. LifeStraw actually started in the mid-90s with a company called Vestergaard and the Carter Center.
Right.
They weren't fighting thirst, they were fighting a parasite.
The guinea worm. It's a horrific disease. And back in 1986, you were looking at 3.5 million cases.
3.5 million. And the data from 2024?
It's fewer than 20 cases.
20. Not 20,000, just 20. That is basically eradication.
It's historic. And the early version of LifeStraw, which was essentially just a simple textile filter, was a huge factor there. It introduced this hollow fiber membrane technology.
Okay, let's pause on the tech for a second. It sounds complex, but the sources we looked at say its beauty is in its simplicity. It's just a bundle of microscopic straws.
Think of it like a high-tech sieve. The pores are only 0.2 microns wide. That's small enough to physically block bacteria and parasites, but water molecules just slip right through.
So no batteries, no chemicals, no moving parts?
Nothing, just physics. Which is brilliant for a remote village, but this is where the business story really kicks in. The sources lay out this really clear evolution. Phase 1 in the 90s was a pure NGO model. Donor-funded, free filters.
The classic charity model. High impact, but totally dependent on grants.
Exactly. If the grants dry up, the water dries up. So around 2005, they shifted. Phase 2 was B2B humanitarian. This is when the LifeStraw Personal, the one we all know, launched.
And they started selling it directly to organizations like UNICEF and governments for disaster relief.
Right. So they're earning revenue, not just waiting for donations. But the real pivot, the part that just blew my mind, was in 2011. They called it carbon for water.
This part is fascinating.
In Western Kenya, they gave away over 4 million filters for free. But they didn't use donor money. They funded it by selling carbon credits.
Okay, explain that loop for the listener, because it sounds completely counterintuitive. How does a water filter generate a carbon credit?
It's all about the firewood. If you don't have a filter, what do? You have to boil your water.
You burn wood, which releases carbon.
Precisely. So if you give a family a filter, they stop burning that wood. You can then measure the carbon that wasn't released and sell that as a credit to a company that needs to offset its own emissions.
Wow. That's a rare link between climate finance and public health. An incredible way to keep the lights on.
It was. But then came phase 4 around 2013, the entry into the consumer market.
This is where they target hikers and travelers, the buy one, give one model.
Yep. You buy a filter for your camping trip, and part of that profit funds a year of safe water for a child in school.
Which all leads to phase 5, their 2020 spinoff as an independent B Corp. But I do want to push back a little here. This hybrid structure, using commercial sales to fund social good, is it a perfect model?
Not at all. And the sources are pretty clear about the cracks. I mean, there's an obvious tension, right? You're fighting an environmental health crisis by
manufacturing millions of plastic devices.
Exactly. You're creating plastic waste to solve water safety. And that carbon credit market we just talked about, it's incredibly volatile. Basing your humanitarian funding on that is a huge risk.
And there's the whole Band-Aid critique. A filter treats a symptom dirty water, but it doesn't build the permanent infrastructure, the pipes and systems, to actually fix the source of the problem.
It's a valid point. But what I think LifeStraw really proves is that the line between doing good and doing business is getting very blurry. And maybe it has to if we want to find solutions that can scale this fast.
It's proof that you can shift from pure aid to enterprise without losing sight of the mission.
As long as you're willing to constantly reinvent how you pay for that mission.
That's a great place to leave it. So here's the thought for you to walk away with. If a water filter can use carbon markets to fund public health, what other global crises could we solve by cross-pollinating industries in a way we've never thought of before?
Something to think about, for sure.
Thanks for listening to this deep dive.
Thank you for listening to Mission Possible, innovating for the world's most marginalized. This podcast is built on the outstanding work of our students, whose curiosity and commitment drive much of the research and storytelling you hear. Each episode is grounded in academic research and shaped through close collaboration with our partners. To learn more about the research and partnerships behind this podcast, feel free to contact us. Thank you for joining.